Hello, everybody. There was a bit of a weird moment there, wasn't there, where you saw me and then my introduction started. So I apologize for that. Technology is wonderful when it works, isn't it? But never mind. Steve Mills here. Great to have you here. And welcome to my Results Mastery live LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Forgot which other site I was on there. Session today. Sorry, I'm losing it. It totally threw me. I do apologize. But anyway, today I'm talking about a book by a gentleman called Keith J. Cunningham. It's called The Road Less Stupid. There you are. That's it. And the reason I'm really want to show you this book and tell you about it is that, you know, I mean, firstly, I just loved the title. I thought that was fantastic, you know, because I know we all, and I include myself in that, make stupid decisions and do silly things and do things that we think will work with the best intentions, and they don't. And Keith's book was first recommended to me actually by a guy called Dan Bradbury. Dan's someone that, you know, he's very experienced, is a little bit like me, you know, really good at what he does. And he said that he spent more money than anybody else in the UK with Keith J. Cunningham. He basically learned a lot of his stuff from Keith, and I respected that, and I thought, if it's good enough for Dan, then I ought to at least buy the book. So I did. I bought the book. I've read it now, I think 3 times. I've also bought the Audible version, and I think I've listened to that maybe 2 or 3. I think I'm on the 3rd time, and it is about, you know, 8 or 9 hours long. But do you know what? It's such an important thing to do, to develop yourself. And another thing from Dan, he always says, and I nicked this from him a little bit, I've used it a couple of times, and that is that, you know, if you want a better business, you need to become a better business owner. And you know, whilst it's Dan's sort of like key motto or subhead or whatever, I just think it's so valuable that it's just worth spreading. You know, it's worth telling people, because it is very, very true. Now, in this book, I'm just opening it up now. There are basically 48 chapters. I don't know whether you can see that there. There are 48 chapters plus a fairly extensive 40-page index. So there's a lot of stuff in there, and I'm here for a quarter of an hour. So I've picked 5 things out of that. And basically, when you read it, what it is a list of stuff that people do that is stupid, that you shouldn't do. And it's obviously full of really great advice of things to do as well. So, you know, I think that's, you know, I hope it's going to be of value to you. I really do. And I believe it will be. So without further ado, let me crack on. So the first thing I want to talk about that I selected is what Keith calls the key to getting and staying rich successfully in business is to avoid doing stupid things, right? Now, I know you think, well, that's, you know, not exactly rocket science, Steve, and it's true, it isn't. But what it is, I think, is profound knowledge. And what I mean by that, profound knowledge is knowledge that we have and we should implement. And we don't always. People don't. You know, we all do stupid things. You know, if I asked you how, you know, if you could remove the 3 dumbest things that you've done financially in your life, how much money would you have in the bank right now? Just 3. We've all done dumb things. We've all done things that have not worked. If you could remove the 3 dumbest ones, the ones that cost you the most money, how much more money would you have in your bank account right now? Well, I can tell you mine. I hate to, because it's very embarrassing, but literally it is millions of pounds. And without going into it, is around property decisions that I made in the past, going right back to my first flat. I bought my first flat in Sheffield for, I think it was £3,800. I wonder how much it's worth now. All right, that was a long time ago, but do you know what I mean? If I hadn't have sold it, if I'd have just kept it and rented it out, I'd have had, let's say, a good few years worth of rent, and it'd have probably worth, I don't know, 200, 300,000 now, at least 200. So there's a big one, and that's not the biggest one, by the way. So, yeah, a really important point. So, avoid doing stupid things. Let's look at it from a business context at the moment. People come to me all the time with, I've had this fantastic idea. I'm thinking of doing this, Steve. What do you think to this idea, Steve? I'm thinking of developing a new product. I want to start a new business, want to go into this. And my first comment to them, and this is my advice to you based on Keith's book here, is what are the consequences of getting it wrong? I had somebody the other day said, I've been talking to my local radio station, and they can put an advert out like 6 times a day for 30 seconds. They want a I forget, it was 6-week deal, and it was £7,000, 7,000 quid. And I said, well, what happens if it doesn't work? Well, they're thinking, they're pretty confident. Well, they would be, wouldn't they? They're trying to sell you something. So I said to them, you always need to consider the downside, not wishing to be negative, but we need to consider when we're making our minds up about something, and I'm talking here predominantly marketing, but it applies to anything that's employing somebody or whatever. What happens if it doesn't work out? That's one of the important questions that we should always ask ourselves, I think. Keith also said that we need fewer good ideas. And I got people on my results mastery, and one person whose name I will not mention, but if he's watching this, he definitely knows who he is. He's full of good ideas, and he really is. And it's great. He almost every week when he comes to our, weekly mastermind group meetings, he's got another good idea, and they're all potential. Well, not all, but some of them are really good ideas. Some of them are, let's say, maybe not quite the best idea. But my point being that with him, I think, because he's got one of those minds. He's a little bit like me in a way. I was trying to come up with good ideas, although I try to learn my good ideas by learning from the best in the world. Those of you who know me will know I'm dedicated. I have been for 28 years to learning from the world's elite and then passing that information on to my small business clients. But just going back to my client on Results Mastery, he's really, really good at coming up with ideas, but really, probably in all truth, he comes up with too many, and so he FTIs. What does FTI mean? It means he fails to implement. Have you ever done that in your business? Fail to implement. One of the biggest reasons that marketing doesn't work and that you don't get enough sales in your business, if you're like 99% of the business owners that I speak to, is that you FTI. And by the way, just on the off chance that you can hear some snoring in the background, that is actually my bulldog who sat down there. He's laid down there asleep, and he's just started snoring. So I don't want to wake him up, but you'll have to just, actually I will. I'll give him a little nudge. There we go. Hopefully that stopped him snoring a little bit. No, it hasn't, but never mind. We need basically to avoid stupid things and to try to be less, out there of, what's the latest flavor, what's the latest idea, what can I do that's going to massively grow my business, and so on and so forth. So that's number 2. Number 3 is basically Keith says that dumb people do dumb things, but also smart people do dumb things. So what he's saying there is that really, make sure if you're going to do something, you have what I call proof of concept. Proof of concept. You know, I was talking to a client that actually is a potential client this morning, and he's got what I believe is a fantastic product. It sells into the football industry. It's like something that a football club would sell to its supporters, and loads of them would want it. I'm absolutely convinced. There's no other product quite like it on the market. And, he's basically having a little bit of trouble convincing the clubs that this is something that they want. And I think that trouble is around, he's not pushing it enough. He's just not doing enough, and he's not being persuasive enough and persistent enough. I'll give you a quick example. He said to me that he said, I'm waiting to hear back from Leicester. He said, but they've not got back to me. And I said, well, have you phoned them? No. And I said to him, my advice to him this morning was that he needs to phone all 92 football clubs in the next 30 days, in the next month. But let's say by the end of June, if you divide that up into, like, I don't know, 25 days, you can quickly work out that it ain't that hard. It's what, 4 or 5 calls a day. And if he's done that, he's made that call, he's identified the right person to speak to, he's perhaps sent them a sample, I believe is going to be off and running and have proof of concept. Now, all he needs then is one client, one club, particularly a big club, to buy into his product. And what's going to happen? The whole thing's going to snowball. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. Now, that I believe, and I told him so, could be a multi-million pound business, 12, 15, 20, 30 million pound business. It really could. It's a fantastic opportunity. But until and unless he gets proof of concept, my belief is you don't take massive risks. You don't go to the bank and borrow a fortune until you've got some evidence that this is going to work. Another client of mine was investing in pay-per-click advertising on Facebook. And he came to me and he said, look, I've got £1,000 a month to invest. And I went, whoa, let's just start off by getting proof of concept. Let's invest £10 a day. £10 a day in Facebook advertising. So we did that. And after a couple of weeks, we knew, because we'd measured, and we were getting a 5 times return on investment. So every pound he put in, he was getting £5 back. Now, we didn't settle there. We said, right, how can we improve your return on investment? And we looked at the headline on the advert, the words, the pictures on the advert, the target market that we were going for. And we also looked at the landing page and tried to improve that. We added video and so on and so forth. Now we got it, we gradually nudged up the amount of money he was spending, and we got it to a level where he was getting a 12 times return on investment. Every pound he spent, he got 12 back. At the end of this process where we were working with him, because it had a limited time factor on the business, we were getting a 12 times return on investment, and he was investing 20,000 a month. So 20,000 a month was giving him 240,000 a month in income, and he was making, good profit on that. He said to me, what do you think we should do next? I said, if I was you, I'd spend 40 grand a month. He went, yeah, that's a good idea, because we had proof of concept. Proof of concept is key to effective marketing, as is testing different things in order to improve performance. So that's really important. Next, Keith speaks about what he calls the dreaded dumb tax. The dreaded dumb tax. What's dumb tax? Well, dumb tax is It's stuff like, it's stuff we don't do. It's like, I suppose you could argue it's the tax that you pay that you shouldn't pay because, you've not got a very good accountant who's not dealing with things properly. That's one example of it. Or perhaps the employee that you hire that's not doing the job that they could or should because you're not managing them, or that because they're not very good. Or it could be, that you're on LinkedIn but not really doing anything. It's dumb. Or you're saying to people, well, I don't understand digital marketing. That's dumb. Or settling for a website that doesn't win any business. What a dumb, stupid thing to do. And yet most businesses that I speak to do just that. When I talk to them, I'm talking small businesses here, and I ask them, what is your strategy for improving, for getting business from your website? They go, well, I haven't really got one. Well, what do you do on LinkedIn? Oh, not very much. How many emails do you send out? Oh, I don't do email marketing. How big is your database, the number of people you're connected to? And they'll tell me something like, well, I got about 150. How long have you been going now? Oh, 10 years. You got 10 years. You got a database of 150 people. Give me a break. That's dumb. That's paying dumb tax. And, think about what you're doing or what you're not doing that is dumb because you're not doing it. Lastly, Keith talks a lot about thinking time. Spending time thinking. Last week, I went down to Cornwall. I spent a lot of thinking time, thinking about my business, about my products, about my services, what I'm doing, and so on and so forth. And I think Keith says, start every morning, early morning, sitting down, spend whatever it is, quarter of an hour, half an hour, just thinking, just sitting and thinking. Have a subject. Don't just, wander off into thinking, cuckoo land about what you're going to do later. Just say, right, this morning, I'm going to think about lead generation. Or I'm going to think about how I can improve my effectiveness on the phone. I'll give you an example. I've been using lots of backgrounds, like a green screen. And there's always that stupid fuzzy thing, and your hands get all weird. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Let's just make the office look better. And what you can see behind me is my result. Basically, I've tried to make the office look a little bit better. And so, I'm using this now. So I've put some thinking into my background of my videos. I did that this morning. That was this morning's thinking time, if you will. So I hope you like the background. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. I'm quite happy with it. You'll see it in the future. It might look even better. This is just the additions I made to this morning. So that's it. That's all I want to say. Don't forget the book. Go and buy it. Honestly, go and buy it on Amazon. I'm not on commission. There's no incentive. I've not got a link to share you. If you don't want to buy it on Amazon, buy it elsewhere. Go and buy it. I've got to say, whilst I've bought the book, I also love the Audible. I think it's fantastic. I listen to it in my car. I listen to it down the gym. I listen to it walking my dog, and so on and so forth. So that's it. Thank you ever so much. I think I've gone over time a little bit, haven't I? Only 5 minutes. That's not too bad. So anyway, if you need to know more from me, or you want to book a meeting, as it says on the floating band or the rotating band there, book a free meeting. In the meeting, we'll discuss your business, what you're doing in terms of marketing, the results you're getting, what results you want to get, and I'll even try and give you some tips in order to help you to get there. I'd also like to talk to you about my results mastery program and how that might help you, because I really think it would. To do that, go to steve-mills.com and simply book a meeting using one of the gold links there. Thanks very much for listening, and speak soon.